Please come to order for this January 6, 2026 meeting of the planning board. All rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Before we get going, I just want to mention, if people are here for High-O Ridge subdivision or Middle Ridge subdivision, those are not on the agenda tonight. So originally, I think there was some plan that it would be, but they're not on the agenda tonight. They'll be on the agenda on February, which I think is February 3rd, correct? So I didn't want anybody to be here for 2 hours expecting to hear that. Okay, next I will appoint Erica as a voting member tonight. Mr. Madsen is not here tonight. At when we get to the storage, indoor storage, Ms. Cook is going to recuse herself, and for that one item, then I appoint Jessica, who I think deliberated on, reviewed it before anyway. Yeah. Okay, I'd accept a motion to approve the December 3rd, 2025 minutes. Moved by Ms. DiPietro. Was there a second? Second by Erica. Rowland, thank you. Any comments? All in favor, please raise your hand. 5-0. And now I'd accept a motion to approve the minutes of the December 8, 2025 special meeting. Moved by Ms. DiPietro, seconded by Ms. Lynn. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. 5-0. Thank you, Laura Lee, as usual, for excellent minutes. Okay. All right, next on the agenda is public comment. This is really if people want to comment on something generally or have a general question for something that's not on the agenda tonight. So if anybody wishes to do that, please approach the mic. Name and address, please.
Good evening. Sorry. My name is Royce Lopez. I'm at 438 Commons Drive in Bridgton. I am here on behalf of myself, my dad, and NTGM Investments, LLC. My dad's not able to be here tonight, but he's written a letter for me to read into the record. Dear Deb, the last time I spoke before the board, there was unanimous agreement that the cost of housing is too high and that there is a lack of housing that can be described as affordable. During this conversation, I stated that the cost of housing starts in this room, and every time the process of creating house lots gets more restrictive or otherwise more difficult, the cost of housing rises. Here is a real-life example. As required for our Middle Ridge application, the abutters were notified according to the town's requirements by certified mail. I'm sorry, I'm very nervous.
That's okay. No worries. It's your first time.
We then submitted our application only to be told that we could not get on the next agenda and that we would have to re-notify abutters by certified mail for the February meeting. Although this may not seem like a big deal, the requirement for multiple certified notifications of abutters is unique to Bridgton, and the cost can run into the hundreds of dollars. I have discussed this with Jim Seymour, as his firm works in dozens of Maine communities, and he has confirmed that it is typical to have only one certified notification, with others done by postcard, which is more efficient and cost-effective. I would like to request that the planning board amend the notification policy so that abutters get notified by certified mail one time, with subsequent notifications done by postcard. Thank you for your consideration, Mark Lopez. I would say, in my own words, that I think he's absolutely right. I don't come here very often. I understand that a lot of decisions that the board makes in regards to land, where we can build, where we can't build, affects the cost of housing. And from my perspective, and from a lot of young men and women's perspectives that are just coming out of high school, thought of buying a house is almost impossible. And it would be good if the board would bear that in mind. Is Mr. Seymour on the, I believe he can speak to the state regulations regarding.
Yeah,
Is
that
so
Jim
before
Seymour?
Mr. Seymour speaks, so first of all, thank you for that input. And we can certainly look to see if we can do a second notification by postcard. The reason things had to be changed is very typically, and we asked this, is that applicants talk to our admin first before submitting, because our schedule and according to our bylaws, that should be done, because our schedule, once it's full, we just, the chair, me, hesitates to put anything else on it so that we're not running until 9 o'clock at night, and we already had a full schedule. That being said, and the reason people were notified again because of the meeting change, the date. That being said, if there's a way to do it legally, an easier way for the second notice, I think the board would definitely consider that. And I don't think there's anything in our ordinance about a second notice, so we can take that up maybe at the end of the night and make a determination on that,
There you go.
okay? Jim, did you want to add anything, Mr. Seymour?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
I just wanted to point out that, yeah, Bridgton is unique, and we do have a great relationship with the staff there, Brenda and Laura Lee. Typically, Christmas came and things got a little jungled, so this time we maybe didn't communicate the same as we have in the past as far as trying to, forecast what we have that's ready to submit. However, on tagging on to Mr. Lopez's letter, I just wanted to point out that under state statute, there's only one really registered or certified mailing that's required for a butter notice. And I know in Bridgton, every time we submit something, we have to go through that expense of the registration or certified letter for butters. In other communities that have had that in the past, they're starting to back off because more and more people now, as you are seeing online portals or online postings of a lot of these meeting minutes and meeting agendas. And secondly, in some communities now, they're accepting what I believe is called listing registration, which is you go to the post office, instead of paying $10 for certification, you pay 65 cents, and basically they certify that they received this address and that it'll be going out to that address, and you get a printout back. That may be better for secondary notices for something like Bridgton that does require, the certification. Maybe you can back it down so that we have that secondary means, but obviously for the initial or public hearing review, it is consistent with state law that, the abutters get notice. So I just kind of wanted to bring that up, and I know that, there's a lot of probably loopholes in a lot of your ordinances. I work in a lot of towns, and you're not alone, so don't feel like you're doing anything wrong. But to that point, in some towns also, they don't cut it off. They allow people to submit, but then they just kind of keep an ongoing agenda, and maybe that's the way it was done in the past. I have no preference with that, but it's just whatever is fair for the community and fair for the applicants, and just something that maybe you want to discuss in the future.
Okay. What I would say is if the board's okay with it, if there's disagreement, we'll vote, but if there's consensus, I don't think we need to vote. I would ask that we designate to Brenda and/or Laura Lee just to investigate the most efficient but still legal way to do second notifications when a meeting gets changed. Is the board okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
So Brenda, Jim mentioned, one was mentioned by Royce, and Jim mentioned some others. If you all would take on, if that's okay with you, take on just checking out a different way to do it that's less expensive and just as efficient as getting people notified. The important thing is that people are notified. So, That okay?
Yep.
Yep, thank you for your comments, appreciate it. Anybody else? Okay. Next on the agenda is Bridgton Thai Cuisine, Portland Road, map 27, lot 18, findings of fact and conclusions of law. Can I have a motion for approving the findings?
We'll move to approve.
Moved by Kathy, seconded by Ms. Cook. Are there any comments?
Did you catch the discrepancy between section D and section E on the number of parking lots in the front?
Section B.
D. I think that one says 7, and then E or F says 8. for parking out front.
Okay,
I
it's
didn't see
8,
that.
it's 8, Brenda, it's 8 spaces in the front for the Thai cuisine, I believe.
I'm pretty sure you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know what made you type 7. Good eye. I'll just change that to 8. Okay, and the other one says
I think you
8.
might look at G off one of the parkings too,
Where?
in one, in either D or, it might have been the second one. Or maybe I read
For
it.
the application narratives and standards D and F for more detail.
Maybe not.
Okay. I will give Laura Lee permission to reread this, and if you find a typo, just, I don't need to do anything with that.
It was 8.
8, okay. Next on the agenda is findings of fact and conclusions of law for Walker
Did we
Memorial
vote?
Hall.
I don't think
Did
we.
you?
Oops,
I don't
sorry.
think we voted.
Whoops. It's the new year.
I know.
Too many Christmas presents for me this year, I'm just rolling right along. All in favor of approving the findings of fact and conclusions of law for Bridgton Thai Cuisine, please raise your hand. 5-0. Thank you. Now I accept a motion to approve the findings of fact and conclusions of law for Walker Memorial Hall. Moved by Ms. DiPietro. I'll have you seconded again, Ms. Cook, since you did it the first time. And just one comment before we vote, and people may have other comments, is I put in, and Kathy, I'm kind of looking to you primarily, on the page that talks about surface water drainage, which is G, which is maybe the top of the 4th page. In bold there, I had that, recall we had the applicant move the drainage up further next to the parking lot.
Right.
And away from the forested buffer, and I'm not sure I interpreted your words properly, but I thought in essence it was to protect abutting properties or that forested buffer, so is that?
Right. DEP design manual prefers that these level spreaders be as close as possible to the impervious surface that they're trying to capture.
So they'd be more efficient?
Right.
Okay.
So that was the intent of that.
So what I would say is, to allow for more efficient stormwater capture?
Yes.
Okay, any other comments? Come on, Erica, you must have found something. All right, in that case, all in favor, please raise your hand. 5-0. Thank you very much. Okay, next on the agenda is Bridgton Indoor Storage, Portland Road, map 9, lot 68.
I will recuse myself.
Ms. Cook will recuse herself as she worked on the branding and website. Okay, so, as a reminder, at the last meeting, we, sorry, my screen went blank for some reason. At the last meeting, we essentially deliberated with the exception of requiring that the fire chief evaluate the need for additional fire precautions or ventilation because cars are being stored inside or intended to be stored inside, and we've never done anything like that here. So he put a letter in the record, but Chief, would you like to just give us an explanation?
I don't have a copy of my letter, but I think you guys all got that.
We got it, yeah.
I looked through all of what I could figure out would be the pertinent NFPA codes for something that dealt with ventilation for car storage or vehicle storage or anything along those lines. And there's absolutely nothing that I can find. Even going into the boat storage realm, they don't really deal with that. Because a lot of the stuff that they talk about is having a vessel inside a building and having it being worked on and possibly running engines and doing things of that nature that just don't apply to what this application is doing. So I'm comfortable with what we've talked about and not requiring any additional ventilation in that building. We did talk with the applicant about putting in some CO detection, just in case a vehicle pulled in and for some reason was running a little bit longer. Although I don't think, you'd probably have to run many vehicles for hours in that building just because of the size of it, to accumulate really any CO. But he was more than willing to put in some CO detection and tie that into their alarm panel, which he's gonna do, so. I'm comfortable with that.
Okay, so CO detection will be added, all right. All right, any questions for the chief? Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so now, so that would address fire safety, and that would basically address fire safety and any air emissions. So what I suggest is just a very quick review. I'm not gonna really mention anything, unless it's really pertinent, so if somebody feels they need to bring something up, and please do, and then at the end, we may have one condition that has to do with the sandwich board sign and parking, we can decide on that. So on the district, which is inner corridor, all the dimensional standards are met primarily because there's no new construction and it's an existing building, nothing's being added, and anything there that doesn't meet the specs is actually legally non-conforming. On the use, just a reminder that we had a good discussion about whether this counted as a boat storage facility or a use that's a similar use. And we did, I don't remember if we voted that it was a similar use. So I think there was definitely consensus, so we should probably vote on that to be sure, because Laura Lee, do you remember? Okay, I should have written that down. So we had consensus that even though it's not listed in the schedule of uses, the use is so similar to a boat storage facility that there would be no additional impacts and would not impact the comprehensive plan or the purpose of the district. And it's not a prohibited, it's not expressly prohibited. So I just would move that the board approves the use as a similar use to a boat storage, indoor boat storage facility, by enacting clause, the similar use clause in the schedule of uses. Is there a second? Second by Ms. DiPietro. Any discussion? Erica, you weren't here, I don't think. Yeah, so, the bottom line was, we really couldn't see a big difference in putting cars and boats in the facility, other than what the chief just went over. Okay. So any further discussion on that? All in favor of that? Please raise your hand. Yep, thank you. Then for site plan, just go through these and say them, and if you feel there's something that was not discussed before, please bring it up. But general, the proposed use, which we just discussed, the applicable requirements of the code, consistent with Town of Bridgton comprehensive plan, preservation, enhancement of the landscape. I will write in the findings that we made a suggestion to try and upgrade the landscaping at the front. Relationship to surroundings, there's nothing being built. Vehicular and pedestrian traffic, traffic circulation and parking. For traffic circulation, I believe the applicant agreed to a condition that they would have a signage, whether it's a sandwich board or something else, that directed people to the ramp where cars go in, so they don't interfere with other items. Okay? Surface water drainage, impervious surfaces, public utilities, advertising features. The one advertising feature is on the wall already. Special features of the development, exterior lighting, there is no new exterior lighting. Emergency vehicle access, municipal services, water quality, groundwater quantity and quality, air quality, water supply, soils and erosion control. Again, there's no construction at all here. Sewage disposal, scenic impacts, noise. This will not operate at night, so there won't be cars and trailers rolling in and out at night. Location in the floodplain, not in the floodplain. Adequate technical, financial, and technical capacity. Special regulations, that's not an institutional use, it's not residential child care, it's not an industrial use. There's no outdoor storage. The road design does not apply. Any other comments? Anything I forgot?
Was one of the stipulations, I know they said this, but should it be a written stipulation that it's by appointment, that the vehicles are dropped off by appointment,
that's right.
so we don't
And
have
that was for
backup?
traffic. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll make, I don't know if that needs to be a condition, but it needs to be in the findings as proof that there won't be an issue with traffic circulation.
Yeah, and they themselves said that.
Pardon me?
They, I can't remember the name of the gentleman who was here. Josh.
Quinn.
Yeah, he said it would be by appointment, so I
Okay.
just want to make sure that we write that down.
And again, I'll put that in traffic circulation. Maggie?
The impact statements that Donnie did still don't, I don't know if new ones exist and they just weren't uploaded, but the approve isn't checked. And I don't know how much it matters, but yeah.
We actually didn't really have a meeting this time because of the holidays and everybody off and
Yeah.
everything, so, with the next meeting, we are going to discuss on getting those.
Okay.
Say that, were you commenting on the?
Just the actual like approve box is
Yeah,
not checked on those.
making sure it's-
So I don't know
Yeah.
how much that matters, but
So these were all approved, right?
he signed them.
Okay.
It's his first time.
Yeah. Okay. All right, anything else? All right, then I'd accept a motion to tentatively approve Bridgton indoor storage with the condition that for traffic circulation, they will have signage that will direct people to the entry ramp to the storage area. Motion made by Ms. DiPietro, is there a second? Second by Maggie Lynn. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. 5-0. Okey dokey. Welcome back, Angie. Okay. Next one here. Next on the agenda is McDonald Motors parking expansion. Map 5, Lot 87 on Portland Road. This was tabled on December 3rd, primarily because the board wanted to have the information on the test pit sites and where they were. Correct? And I don't think there were any other significant requests other than just a concern about the traffic and pedestrians, et cetera, going back and forth across there. So, Mr. Seymour, if you want to, and we did have a site walk, an indoor site walk on January 2nd, where Mr. Seymour laid out the full design so we could really understand, basically the outdoor layout. And Mr. McDonald was there and helped answer any questions. So I'll give the floor to Mr. Seymour here to update us on the project.
Thank you, board members. My name is Jim Seymour, Senior Project Manager with Sebago Technics, here tonight to represent McDonald Motors for their auxiliary parking lot located on the southerly side of Route 302. The current address of the dealership, I believe, is 461? 460. Across the street. Your actual dealership. 461. Yeah, 461. So this is an even number on the south side street. There's no number identified for it. As you had mentioned, we did have a site walk January 2nd. Went over a few things. One thing I would like to clarify, since that meeting, we had follow-up with MDOT, and there were some changes that they would like to see with the entrances, specifically with the one closest to Noria. They would like that to be a two-way entrance, and the one on the easterly side of the lot would be right out only. We just received that memo on Monday, I believe. So that will be a change that we'll identify on the plan.
Jim, can I
Again,
ask a question about that?
Yep.
What was their explanation?
Yeah. There was an established driveway there for the motel, and they felt that the in and out that was primarily used was the one closest to Noria. They felt that from a control standpoint, because what happens now is you do have a center lane there once you get beyond the island, and that allows you to have a queuing area to get in and out of that entrance where you don't have that on the easterly side. So they thought from a traffic flow standpoint, a safety perspective, given that you've got the extra width in 302, it was safer there to have it in and out on that side versus the easterly side.
Okay. Can you just submit that letter to the application?
Yeah, we have an email correspondence, but we're gonna make sure that we've got it correct with DOT, and we'll follow up with that. The one thing that we still are waiting for, and we've had no correspondence from, is this is under a Site Location of Development Act, because it is associated with the dealership. The combination of the two put us at 5 acres of new total impervious since 1975. So we are still waiting on that permit. But one of the interesting things that you'll get a kick out of, Catherine, is now DEP is asking us to fill out the general construction permit as part of this.
Why am I not surprised?
Well, it's a little bit challenging for us because that's a contractor responsibility, not a designer
Exactly.
responsibility. So that's something we'll have to go over with you at some point to see who you have for general contractor or site contractor in mind, because it'll be their responsibility to fulfill that permit. But it is making some challenges with the DEP permits these days. The one thing we did go over was making sure that the setback from Portland Road 302 was 75 feet. And I'm just gonna step over here real quick. This dashed line here is the actual 75-foot setback. We do have a small piece of a treatment pond in there, but all the structures are outside that 75 feet. When I say structures, it's an outlet control, concrete, manhole type structure. Everything is discharged down to that entrance closest to Noria into that big ditch system. And again, DEP is reviewing that from both a quantity standpoint and from a qualitative standpoint. There will be an impact fee for phosphorus. However, that will be, this time, that'll be under the jurisdiction of DEP to administer that because it's under their program.
Okay. So that, it wouldn't be an LEA?
No, I'm
It was a
guessing
big
that somehow.
$475, right?
Yeah, I'm guessing that it will all end up, somehow maybe LEA ends up back with that money in the end. I'm not sure how that program works, but it'll go into the watershed for Long Lake, as that's the receiving water
Okay.
body. And to your point, we did provide you with the updated test pit information, which again is a little bit redundant because under the DEP program, we have to put liners in these ponds anyway. So it's a little bit of a moot point as far as where groundwater is, other than if it was really high, we might have to put an under drain system in, but it was not the case. All the water runs in a south to north direction, all heading back down to Portland Road. We do have a detention and treatment pond on the westerly side, closest to Noria, but again, that is back 25, 30 feet from the property line. Their retaining wall that they have installed is roughly 10 or 15 feet on their side, so there's a 35-foot gap at least between the wall and where our pond is. So there's
Okay.
adequate separation from a structural
Okay.
standpoint. And both ponds, as I mentioned, do drain down to 302. This will generate approximately 250-plus space inventory for McDonald Motors. As I mentioned in the site walk, this surface will be gravel, so even though we've delineated the spaces just to show that that could fit, the actual spacing will be up to McDonald Motors. That's how they fit those vehicles in there. We would recommend that somehow we put some kind of center line delineator for the parking spaces so that we know we can keep those aisles open. In our design, that front aisle is designed so that a car carrier can come off 302 and exit back out onto 302. One of the DOT comments that we did receive is, I'm sure Mr. McDonald's heard this, they don't like the idea of trucks unloading in 302.
They don't like the, yeah.
Yeah, so they do like the idea that we did have designed this such that we get those vehicles off, and that would be a limitation on the, any permit or any approval that they grant. So that's the update I have for you. Willing to answer any other questions. As I mentioned, at this time, we're waiting for DEP review, and I'm not sure if the board wants to proceed with approvals tonight, wait for DEP, or whether you just rather wait for DEP in the end. We can't do anything either way.
I have a. Well, why don't we, I mean, I think you've answered most of the questions the board's had over the last few months. We'll have one more chance for that, but maybe let me just ask the board, I guess it's, a little bit of this is sort of your preference and what works legally. If you get input back and the plan has to be changed,
Right.
and we've conditioned it, you're gonna end up coming back to us with an amendment.
Correct.
The other way is, we can deliberate tonight and not tentatively approve it, but have them gone over everything so that Laura Lee can maybe initiate the findings. And then you could come back when you have the approval from DEP. That way we don't kind of lose, what's that?
We could condition it, couldn't we?
Well, we can condition it, but
And then if there's changes, he has to come out.
if they change it, yeah, then he has to come back. So it's really, to me, up to the applicant whether he wants
Do you have a preference?
to risk an amendment and
I-
redo some things.
I think we're fine if we deliberate and make our short list of anything that you may want, whether you want something on the plan, but I think we're fine with going through the deliberations, and we can just wait till we get the DEP, and then we can do it one fell swoop, hopefully, at that point.
Yeah, I think the big thing from my perspective, I'm not sure about the rest of the board, is just not to forget, if
Yeah.
it takes another 2 or 3 months, not to
Right.
forget the content of what's been discussed.
And based on the review timeline, it would probably be, to that point, it'd probably be a couple months before we hear back under their statutory regulations, but we know that they've pushed those deadlines beyond their statutory, so we're expecting it in 2 months, but if it goes longer, we'll just try to keep Brenda and Laura Lee up to date if that works.
Yeah. How does the board feel about all this? Any preference?
I'm fine with it. I just have one question. If they're going to make that one entrance in and out, is that going to change the pedestrian traffic?
The only thing it will change it won't change anything for the pedestrian crossing, that still cannot
Okay.
happen.
Right.
The only thing it would change is our signs would have to be updated, that's all.
Okay.
There
That's
could
all.
be a left turn out there, and the easterly one would have to be
Right.
restricted to right out only. And this plan doesn't necessarily reflect it as we just received that
Right.
information, but we have tilted that entrance a little bit, so it makes it harder to make the left out.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Doesn't change anything in previous calculations or anything.
Okay.
And again, when you see the final with the DEP,
Right.
you'll see all those DOT changes as well.
Yeah,
Which is another good reason to kind of wait.
yeah, that's trying to hopefully save you some. Okay, let me just get to. Okay, there we go. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go over each standard, and I think what we'll do is just vote in each standard except stormwater, right? Would any other standard be impacted other than stormwater, Jim?
The only one that would be is, again,
Traffic.
if you want to, on the DOT, on the traffic,
Okay,
if you want to include that, that's fine. We'll make the necessary changes to the plan. We've discussed them, but you haven't necessarily seen them, so I'm fine with making that a
okay.
condition as well.
Okay.
So we can discuss it, we just won't vote on those standards. Kathy?
Yeah, I just had a question about that when we do get
Okay.
to talking about traffic, because I'm just imagining somebody trying to take a right out of Naria and somebody trying to take a left
Yeah.
out of the two-way.
Yeah. Fortunately, there's not a high generation of traffic in this lot,
Yeah.
because it's basically an auxiliary lot, so
Right.
it's not a high volume, so that's one reason that there is an issue. I think if, in the future, if he develops this into another building or another use associated with car dealership, at that point, the whole traffic permit would be open again.
So, but customers are gonna be shuttled from the McDonald Motors area.
That's the goal. Is to, we can't stop everybody, but that's the goal, is that people going into the dealership lot could be shuttled over if they want to look at the inventory. At the same token, they could drive right through themselves and
And
look
look,
at the
yeah.
inventory. I mean, that's what probably a lot of us do on a Sunday when, sorry, Bill. As we just kind of cruise through and take a look at the vehicles
Yeah.
that are there. Again, Bill, you might have a better idea of the number of patrons that hit that in a day. It's not high. Yeah, it's not high.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think most people come into the dealership and have a conversation with
I
you.
mean, you were all that were at the site walk the other day, noticed how full the parking lot is.
Yeah.
On the dealership side right now, it's ridiculous. So a lot of those vehicles will be moving over there. Right now, we try to keep as many of the pre-owned cars across the street, new on the dealership side. That is our priority at the moment. But that's gonna have to shift just from the capacity.
Any other questions, Maggie?
This is wild and crazy, so I'll just acknowledge that. Just thinking about the opportunity potentially and thinking about, I know there's no plan for future use right now, but would there be an option in the future to combine the entrance with the Noria entrance? Is that something that,
I think there's a substantial grade change there.
Yeah.
Noria's site's quite a bit lower. I don't know, that
Okay.
would be subject at the time. This site has two entrances that are approved and historic. Chances are that I believe Mr. McDonald and McDonald Motors would want to keep at least one of those. But
Yeah.
to your point, when the future comes, this will have to be reviewed because there will be much more traffic generation. And most likely would need a traffic movement permit at that time or an updated traffic movement permit. So all those things would be back out on the table.
and there's no stormwater infrastructure like in that corner that would make that more difficult in the future? It's all back behind, yeah, great.
But again, there is a substantial, and then there's a wall break there from a construction standpoint and a
Yeah.
safety standpoint. I don't know if you want those movements because that fuel pump for Noria, that large
Oh,
shack
yeah.
is right there too.
Yeah.
That kind of
That's true.
complicates things as well.
Well, it can remain
An
wild.
idea for the future. Yeah.
Good idea.
Any other questions? All right, then why don't we go with standards? And, I'm gonna use as a basis the applicant's narratives. We'll go to, I guess we'll go to the district standards first. If I can get to them. Maggie's thinking E360 code right
I'll bring it up every time.
now. All right, so we're in the outer quarter district, and the use is it's a parking lot, but it is actually an accessory use to the, I think is that the way you listed it? It's an accessory use to the dealership, which is an allowed use in the district.
Sure.
Any comments on any of that? Okay. Dimensional standards, minimum lot size is, well, it's 40,000 square feet for a retail business and 80,000 square feet for a residence. A prime, shall I say, irritation of the chair.
Maybe something to address.
However, that is the spec, and it's well over an acre. Minimum lot frontage is 100, somewhere in the order of 500 or 600, if I remember correct, or 400.
Yeah, way
It-
beyond 100.
It's not in the shoreland zone. The maximum lot coverage does not apply. Minimum contiguous private open area does not apply. The maximum front setback line does not apply. The minimum front setback line, as Jim spoke to, is 75 feet, and that's applicable to all structures. And just a note that we'll make sure in the findings is, I don't know if it needs to be a condition, but just a reminder that the code now doesn't allow display items or like cars in that setback area. But people will see them, for sure. And you can still put one on the hill in the back, I believe. Minimum setback from any common lot line is either 15 or 25 feet. Hold on. 25 feet is it, and I think that was shown on the map.
Correct.
And maximum height of principal structure or accessory structure, 35 feet. It's got no height at all, really. Well, I guess maybe any structures on the site like it. Minimum height, 18 feet, there's no structure again. Ground story elevation height doesn't apply. Any questions about any of that? On to site plan. Okay. General review criteria, section V6, A, general proposed uses and any structures are allowed within the land use and shoreline zoning district, or shoreline zoning district, I should say. Any comments? Nope. We discussed that. Complies with all applicable requirements of code, town's ordinances, rules, and regulations. That's what we're in the process of. The proposal is consistent with the town of Bridgton comprehensive plan. There is a fairly long narrative by the applicant on why it meets the comprehensive plan, which I'll summarize as it's allowed for, it's a transitional area that includes mixed-use commercial. Any comments on that? Okay, preservation and enhancement of a landscape. Any comments there? Landscaping plan was turned in, which I'll go back to the district section in after this for that. And the one tree that's there will be saved. Okay. That's described in the narrative. Relationships to surroundings, this applies for buildings. Structures, I guess a parking lot is a structure. I see Kathy shaking. Any comments there or questions?
No, it seems like everything's car-related all around it, so.
That's very true. Minimize disruption to natural features, including slopes, soil tights, and drainage ways. Any comments there? I mean, the site is largely flat, as it mentioned, and cleared. There's no significant natural features. And there's not much vegetation there. There'll be a lot more when it's done. Okay, vehicular and pedestrian traffic. I think here, oops, we didn't actually vote on these, so let's do it this way. We're all the way up to standard, let's first vote. You know what, at the end, what we'll do is vote on the whole thing excluding two standards. That might be the easier way to go.
Yeah.
Sounds it.
Okay. Vehicular and pedestrian traffic. Obviously, there'll be a change with the entrance area on the, is that the north side or the Nuria side, I guess?
I'll call it the Noria side, it's actually the northwest side.
Okay. As a reminder, we've asked repeatedly about crosswalks and pedestrian crossings, and that's a no-go with DOT. Maybe someday if the speed limit changes, that will change.
I was just gonna ask an update on that. Did we already
Sure,
get one?
Jim, you want to give, you may not have been,
I
she
don't
may not have been there.
I may
when-
have been there and I'm
Yeah.
just forgetting.
Yeah, under their current standards, crosswalk's not allowed for anything that's over 40 miles per hour.
Gotcha.
But the change that we,
I have no
Oh,
idea.
you're asking for a change on
The
the
On the
speed limit.
request?
yeah,
Yeah,
just,
so it's part of the
Sorry.
investigation they're doing, or, that's not what I'm looking for, but the investigation they're doing, or the research they're doing for the traffic light.
oh, okay.
So it's gone
It'll
to
be-
that part, so
Okay.
they are taking that into consideration, but it's all part of that.
I just wanted to make sure it hadn't been
Nope, it's still,
dead on arrival or lost.
No, it's still there. Any other discussions on traffic? Okay, because this one mentions DOT, this will be one of the ones we exclude, which is 6. Six D and section 6. Hold on, let me just get the right numbers. We're gonna need it. Section V6D. And section V6E, traffic circulation, because of the in and out and the way DOT wants it designed. Parking, any comments on parking? Speak now or forever hold your peace. It will feature 257 or thereabouts 9x18 parking spaces. We'll mention in the findings the center line being marked. And we'll mention we'll use the narrative here that includes the truck storage and mention that the intent is to keep trucks off of Route 302. Surface water drainage. This would also be one of the ones that gets excluded, but if we have any issues, we should bring them up now. Kathy?
No issues.
Jim, you get a big pat on the back.
Yeah, you do, Joe.
Yeah, so as Mr. Seymour mentioned, it'll flow from south to north, I think you said, and be caught in the catchment, okay? Impervious surfaces, none may be in the minimum setback area. And that's public utilities. Will be connected to the existing overhead electric line for 4 light fixtures. Advertising features, none are proposed. Special features of the development, like exposed storage areas and machinery installation, none are proposed. Exterior lighting, before pole-mounted lights. Don't think you're going to be bothering any houses around there. There is one not too far away. Emergency vehicle access,
Can we go back to the lighting? I know I'm not
Yes, go
voting on
right
this
ahead.
one. Will this, I know it's a parking lot not in town or anything, but will they still have the request to be like the downturn?
The dark
lights?
sky
They will
compliant.
have, they are dark
Compliant.
sky approved, and they have full
Great.
shielded cutoff, so the light only transmits down, no sky glow.
Beautiful, thank you.
Can you just maybe note on the, just walk up to the plan there and just note where the lights are? I think I can see it from
Yeah.
here, but I'm not sure. Yep, okay. Yep, all right. So they're not at the very edges, which is good.
Okay.
Okay, emergency vehicle access. Chief had no concerns there. Municipal surfaces. I'm not sure that it would even, unless there's a car fire, but it's not gonna be using too much, or if somebody tries to nab a car, but that's normal. Water quality. Here, we would note that the phosphorus export study would require a compensation fee of $475 to DEP.
Yeah, we'll confirm that, because again, that could be subject to change whatever DEP reviews, but that's, we'll confirm that.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is, we'll still approve that
Okay.
one, but if it changes, then we'll just note it. Assuming everybody's good with that. Groundwater quantity and quality. It must not, alone or in conjunction with existing activities, have an unreasonable adverse impact on the quality or quantity of groundwater. There are no wells being drilled, there are no aquifers nearby. And the stormwater has been designed to prevent issues with that. There are no petroleum products, anything being stored on the site. Air quality? Don't think 257 cars will be running at the same time. Water supply, none is needed. Soils and erosion control, that was submitted with the application, the details of preventing soil and erosion. Sewage disposal will not be any. Scenic impacts. We just note here that although it's a large parking lot, there's going to be, the site will be supplemented with heavy landscaping, which improves the aesthetics, actually, over probably what it's ever been, to be honest. Noise. Floodplain, it's not in the floodplain. Adequate technical and financial capacity. Special regulations, not applicable. Road design, not applicable. I think that's everything in the site plan. Does anybody have any questions? So, Jim, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, I think you captured everything that we had.
Go ahead.
We're good.
I'd accept a motion to tentatively approve the site plan for all standards except, all site plan standards except V6D and E and V6G, until such time that the applicant has gotten approval from DEP and any potential modifications from DOT.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Cook, seconded by Ms. DiPietro. And just as a discussion point, we will So we'll start the findings, and when we get that approval, there'll either be changes that we will then deliberate on that standard, or there won't be, and we'll deliberate on those standards. Everybody got it?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor, oh, Brenda,
No, vote. Vote first.
vote first.
Yeah.
All in favor, please raise your hand. 5-0. Okay, question from Ms. Day.
Not a question, just a statement. So if for some reason, if nothing is received from DEP within 3 months, we would just need an extension request?
Yeah,
3 months.
I thought that might be what you were about to mention. All right, moving on to the any further questions on that? Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is Stonewall Hollow subdivision, South High Street. It's basically near the corner of South High and Willett Road, but it's not at that corner. It's next to the Pike Apartments. Stonewall Hollow subdivision, South High Street, map 30, lot 14C1. This is for a 12-unit subdivision that is 6 duplexes.
Thank you, board members. Again, Jim Seymour with Senior Project Manager with Sebago Technics, a lot of S's. Here tonight to present the Stonewall Hollow project located off South High Street for Fielding Properties LLC and TKT Holdings LLC. We were before the board some time ago. We have held a site walk, and from that site walk, we did make some subtle changes to the plan. One, which was my applicants wish to have this approved as an apartment complex where they would be renting these out, with the idea that in the future, these could be condominiumized. So we're trying to design this under condominium standards, but understanding that right now, they're going to be rental units. With that said, we understand that there's a concern with the side buffers and perimeter buffers. What we have done on this plan is we have shifted the buildings slightly to maintain the buffers from the buildings themselves. The exclusion would be the last one on the left going down. This one, where because of the pond construction, we were not able to fully maintain that 25-foot buffer. There, we have asked for a waiver of that due to the infrastructure that we're planning. We are planning to plant that as best as we can. That is a fairly steep slope. The other piece of this is we have had dialogue, which I think it's in your packet now, where we have public sewer capacity and water capacity. Therefore, we can use the lower density calculations to provide for the 12 units. These would be all maintained by the ownership currently. At the time that they would convert this to condominium, obviously there would have to be some kind of homeowners association involved. The plan is currently under DEP review for a stormwater permit. We have heard back from them. They're nearing the end of that permit review. Again, questions about the Maine general construction permit process is where we are finalizing that right now. The areas in green and dark green are the areas that we will not be disturbing and maintaining a buffer. Obviously, with our access road coming in off South High Street, it's difficult to maintain a 25-foot buffer through that. But there are no homes on that northerly side. We have maintained that on the southerly side, with exception of the one unit closest to the detention pond. Following that site walk, the other thing we did do is we altered the drainage course, because we understood that there were some trees on that lower side. There were some big trees where we had some outfalls that may have been disturbed. So what we have done, and I'll go over the plan, is we've tied the foundation drains in which will tie into the outfall of the pond, and that's being discharged more in the middle than the side where some of those larger trees were along that property line. Therefore, it'll go directly into those wetlands, into that stone outfall, directly into those wetlands, which continue down into the land owned by Lake Environmental Association and their trail system. We have two stormwater filter ponds located on the property on the downhill side. Those, as you can see, are in the blue color, one on the left, one on the right. And one other change that we did make is per request of the client, these have half walkouts in the back of those units on the right side going down. That helped with the grading so that we could, again, maintain that undisturbed buffer between that and the property next door to the south. And the good thing is with that property to the south, I think we all had the pleasure of walking on that property for reasons we don't want to get into. But their home is situated quite a far distance away, so even on their property, there's a decent buffer there. But we'll do our part to maintain the 25-foot buffer down through there. Another concern that was raised was the amount of wetland impact. That is very small. There's only 3,441 square feet of total wetland impact. The overall wetlands on the property are 34,282 square feet. And then because we are trying to level this property off as we go down the hill, there is a little bit of slope generation. That's about 3/4 of an acre of property that would be at a 3-to-1 slope that kind of wraps around that lower section to make the grade work. I know there was discussions about seeing if we could work with the neighbors to do some property. The owners were not fully interested in that. They were going to explore that. I have not heard whether they've had any success or not with that. Last discussion I had with them, they just wish to keep it the same for now. Again, I think we might get into some, there is a septic system out there on that property. I'm not sure exactly where it's located. There may be an opportunity for them in the future as well to possibly tie into a force main into the sewer, which now the force main extends down to the entrance of our property, which is what we're tying into. Again, we've been before the board, and I know there were some concerns because thoughts of condominium versus apartment. We're asking the board at this time to review it as apartments, but with all of us in the foresight to understand that this may be converted to a condominium in the future. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay. I'll start with Erica this time.
I don't have any amendment.
Angie?
No, I don't.
Maggie?
Just confirming these are market rate apartments.
These will be, I believe the range they were looking at would be, again, I don't know what the market rate is, but I believe they're going to be in the $2,500 a month range.
Ooh, that's a lot.
I'm not sure that's
Yeah,
what we need more of right now,
I think now
but
with the elevated house rates, also the rentals are going up. It's part of the cost of construction. So
Yeah.
I think they'd be consistent with what you see in Maine Eco, in the $2,000 to $2,500 range.
how many bedrooms?
2,
And about 1,000 square feet a unit?
yeah, maybe, yeah, right around 1,000.
2,000
Yep.
per duplex?
And these are, yeah, I know we've submitted the renderings before, but these are pretty nice looking units inside and outside. So, I mean, there's a little bit more construction cost than normal. But that's the trend they're shooting for, you know, what the market can bear, I guess, is the way I can answer that.
I'm not sure. People can, but,
Yeah. And the market will play, obviously, they're not gonna leave them vacant, so that'll.
and this, my understanding is that, and I don't know, maybe I can't ask this, but
You can ask, it may not be, if it's not really
relevant.
relevant to his standard, I'd be
Okay.
careful about that.
Then I won't.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I'll just use this opportunity to bring up that we do need more affordable housing. This is a place close to services, walkable to downtown, to the hospital,
Yep.
close to other affordable housing. So, in a perfect world, there might be the inclusion of an affordable unit. I think too, there's an opportunity. I know it's still a draft, unfortunately. Comprehensive plan update for the town of Bridgton one of the action items calls for a review of our land use code to potentially allow for, incentivize more affordable housing being constructed, like, in this exact place. And so it's kind of unfortunate that this is going to happen before we have the chance to go and
Yeah,
do
and
that, but I'm not,
Yeah, I
this isn't on
understand,
you.
and I understand the town's needs and your concern that's raised.
Yeah.
I do think that the market will bear out what the cost, or what these will be rented at, because obviously if they're too high and they lay dormant, that's not good. So I do think the market will drive what the rent.
This is in, just to take off on Maggie and Jessica, this is in the Downtown Village Neighborhood District, which is a growth area,
So this area.
designated growth area, so you might mention to the applicant, I'm not asking you to change anything, and it's certainly not a standard, however, the current state law
We
doesn't,
should confirm that this is in the current growth zone because it is proposed in the new comprehensive plan, which has yet.
it's also in the current.
Currently?
Current one, it's inner quarter, I think, downtown, and not outer quarter.
Because my recollection of those conversations was that this area specifically was being added, but I could
No,
have
it was,
that.
there was another district just outside it, but I believe, we can double check this, Jim, but I believe that is a designated growth area, and, well, I don't know that the applicant could do it, given the slope and given the wetlands. However, and they may not need to do it, because you already can go to 5,000 square feet per unit, but they do get a density bonus, and that could be discussed with Brenda, I think, offline, if they put in affordable housing. But it has to be a certain amount. So it's just to, I'm not saying squeeze more in there, but
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a lot in a small.
there
area.
are certain, shall I say,
The area.
benefits, or certain things that don't, restrictions that don't apply if a certain portion are affordable. So it's just, it's something that, you know, we're not gonna deliberate on here, but for the future, if they ever wanna change that, they might.
Yeah, I think with the potential of them wanting to condominiumize that, it may also impact their decision.
Right, exactly. Okay.
Just the current comprehensive plan also calls for 10% of new residential development is supposed to be, or, I don't know the exact language, so I'm not, desired to be affordable, and I'd like to see the town actually look to see if we've achieved that. I'm not sure that we have.
Okay.
So that's
So-
just, this is new development, it's not affordable.
That's
Just-
work for the future, yeah. We do not have a standard that dictates
Yeah.
what the pricing
But
of these
as
needs
it
to be.
relates to the comprehensive plan.
Yes, for the future. Anything
That's
else,
all.
Maggie?
No.
Jessica?
Specifically to this, no.
Kathy?
You have a figure 1 natural resources map, and it had a 4-inch PVC culvert outlet, but I couldn't find it in the narrative, and I didn't know exactly where it was on the map and what area it drained.
It may have been possibly a foundation drain, maybe from one of the units
Okay.
that goes out to that edge of that replica.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which again is, fortunately, it's good, clean groundwater going back to the surface.
Other than the tightness of the bottom of your slope to, I think you've got 10 feet before the 25-foot setback from the stream, I don't have any concerns. I mean, the stormwater is good, it's
Yes.
just tight.
It is tight, and we've done what we can to kind of consolidate this and, make it work to maintain as many buffers as possible. Unfortunately, to make the stormwater work, that's what we need. So, again, this is being reviewed for stormwater compliance with the DEP.
Yep. Anything else, Kathy? Okay.
No, this is good.
Jim, if you could remind me what, I know it's an allowable impact on the wetlands, what's creating that impact? Is that the stormwater or is it the grading?
It's the grading for the stormwater, for collection of stormwater. You've got a small patch here and a small patch here. Because of the pond and the depths we have to build that up. And then it's the fill slope for
Okay.
the purposes of that pond.
And then the rest of that, all the green area there,
Stays in.
that stays intact,
Stays in its
correct?
natural condition, yes.
Okay.
They have not proposed any deed restriction, but again, there's nothing approved out there, so it just stays in its natural condition.
Would the applicant, because there is that stream and quite a bit of wetland with the, well, I don't know if we can impose that condition, to be honest.
It's not,
What I was gonna say is a condition of not clearing any additional land beyond what you've outlined.
I think it's up to the board, but I think that anything beyond what is shown on the plan would have to come back to the board if that's acceptable to you.
Okay.
Because I don't think there's any necessary, other than maybe for tree harvesting, but you saw the trees down there, there's
Yeah,
not
they're
much to
not.
really
Right.
harvest down through there.
I'll just note that in the findings.
Just one other quick
Yep.
question, mostly for you. Sidewalk impact fees don't apply in this district, is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
It's just the business
Let's
district?
just look.
Fortunately, there are no sidewalks in close proximity.
I know, well, the sidewalk doesn't actually reach the hospital, which
Right.
feels like something to address. And I think there are reasons just from a,
Mainly,
resident.
Mainly the reason for sidewalk is usually it totally alters the drainage conditions, and that way you
Yeah.
have to have additional storm drainage and curbs and
I would
catch
love
basins, but
to see a sidewalk down this road to go to Hannaford. I'll just use my, on my soapbox, as everybody knows,
Required in this district.
but they're not required
Yeah,
in this
they're not
district.
required here.
Maybe it's something,
Maybe that'll be a change in the
Consider it.
future.
And one thing I would like to add too as well is that I did confirm that the access that we have going in there is consistent with the other condominium project we did for Dan Harden's project up on Mountain Road. So this access is identical to that design that we use for that condominium.
Okay. I'm just looking at my questions. So you're gonna need a road name and entrance permit through the CEO. The wastewater, I noted in there's a letter that, well, basically, the applicant is saying they're calculated things based on a max 3 bedrooms per unit, and the water district has accepted that, so that would be noted in the findings, the max 3 bedrooms, and that they've asked for you to reapply if it's not done within a year. In case
And we're-
something.
Yeah, and we will also have them, even though it's a private sewer pump station, we will have them, we'll provide them a detail of that, just so they can review it in the event that there's something there that they should want for preventative purposes.
And they're obviously not creating any individual lots here. Traffic was in there, so, the board does need to discuss whether to provide the 2 requested waivers. One was not to have the essentially the impact of septic runoff on neighboring properties. There is no septic system on this, it'll be tied into the town septic, so that's not something to be concerned with, so I would propose that we accept that waiver. And can I have a motion to that effect? Moved by Ms. Cook. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Lynn. Any further discussion? All in favor of the waiver, please raise your hand. Thank you. The second waiver is for the perimeter buffer, which is 25 feet for a subdivision of this type. Apartment subdivision, I guess we're going to call it. Could be condo subdivision. Does anybody have any comments on that? I would say that the landscape plan has trees being planted right here,
Yeah, all the way down.
so that it should sort of shield and around here, I think. The stormwater doesn't work. The development doesn't work without it. And
And-
there's probably
I just want to
another 200 feet of, 100 feet or more of forested buffer there, probably 100 feet.
at least. Yeah. And one thing I wanted to point to the board, not that I'm here for any more ordinance revisions or anything, but I do know that there's a state statute, and I don't believe you folks have engaged in that update. But under the Affordable Act through the state of Maine, there's provisions now that say that if you have multi-unit development, you can't impose more restrictive buffering than you do for a standard subdivision. That'll be something you obviously have to look at. But I know right now you don't have that, but going forward in the future, that is something that's going to come up.
Yeah, well, subdivisions that enter that don't have a road, that are right on the road, it's 15 feet, and that used to have nothing, and we changed it to 15, so, yeah. I think, to me, especially with higher density housing, you want it to be as pleasing as possible because it's mixed in with single homes. And people, even in that area, value some aesthetics
Yeah, and we
and
chose.
privacy.
And the tree selection that we did there was conifers, evergreens, so that they're permanent, so they're just not seasonal, but they would be something that would.
So what's the board's feeling on the waiver?
Is there lighting indicated on this? Like, is that?
No, we
that's
did not
part of
propose any street lighting on this, so
Okay.
there would not be any. The only thing you have there, at the very end, you do have a pump station structure. There's no light on that per se, but there is an alarm, so if something goes wrong, there would be a strobe going there, but you want that. That's for emergency situations. Otherwise, it'd just be the standard home lighting.
My request would just be on the final plan that it's very clear, assuming a waiver, that it's very clear where the break is in the buffer.
Would you want us, we could break that out too, if you wanted to give you a little bit more blown-up detail, if that would
Yeah,
help.
that would be good, I think. Anything else? So for that waiver, I will move to provide a waiver for the perimeter buffer in the one restricted area due to the stormwater requirements
So moved.
for the subdivision.
A second.
Moved by Ms. Cook, is there a second? Second by Ms. Rowland. Is it Rowland or Rowland? Rowland. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. 5-0, okay. So this is a preliminary subdivision plan, and actually, we can deliberate on this, and I'd suggest we do deliberate on it. We've talked through most of this already anyway. The final plan, when it's submitted, has to have the we have to have the DEP approval, so we can actually deliberate on this as it is. When they come for the final plan, if there's been a change in stormwater, then they'll have to give that to us. It's almost like having, well, it is, two plans in one. So, why don't we do the district standards first? So in terms of the use, these are dwelling units, these are allowed in every district. In terms of the dimensional standards, not all of them apply in subdivisions. Minimum lot size does not apply, that's part of the subdivision regs. And minimum lot frontage is part of the subdivision regs. There is no shore frontage. Maximum lot coverage does not apply. They're not covering, they're really not covering even just barely less than half the lot. Contiguous open area, none is not applicable, and that's private open area. You're not proposing any common open area for the apartments anymore, right?
No,
That was
at the
removed.
time, if they want to condominiumize it, then there may be some limited common areas, but that would be down the road.
Maximum front setback line is 25 feet applicable to principal buildings. Minimum front setback line is at the public lot line. So here's where, Ms. Day?
Yep.
Can you please remind me whether, we discussed this, is a waiver required for that because the principal structures are not within 25 feet? They're over here.
I think we did. I think we decided we could do it on the access. I mean, from the private road side.
From okay, so this is an access way, and you're really saying this is like a frontage, is that what you're
So
saying?
this would be the front.
I see. So those,
Because your driveway is typically frontage. This will be a road.
so are these no more than 25 feet back? Is
Yes.
the question.
Yeah, they're no
Okay.
more than 25 feet from the edge of pavement.
The appeals board chair is here if you want.
I can put a dimension on that too with a final plan.
Yeah, that would be good, if that could be, okay, so, is the board, all right with that?
Yep.
Okay. Minimum setback line, I mean, common lot line is shown on the map. Shoreland zone doesn't apply. The structures will not be more than 35 feet high, and they'll be at least 18 feet high. Ground story elevation height doesn't apply. The district-specific and bulk standards don't apply for subdivisions. So now on to the preliminary subdivision plan, or subdivisions. All right. Section 6-6 statutory review criteria, can't talk. Pollution. This is undue water or air pollution. Any comments or concerns there? Sufficient water. We got a letter. And I will, in the findings, we will write that the water supply, it's kind of kooky here, but it's conditioned on no more than 3 bedrooms per unit. Just And then, just, I guess that, I think I would put in the findings, it would have to be reevaluated in a year if the project's not done. Because you do get 2 years to finish the project, so that's a little odd
Yeah.
to come
Well, we
back.
can talk to the water district too.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a capacity issue, I think it's just probably their standard
Yeah.
response.
Erosion. Traffic, we did get a traffic study. It doesn't trip a TMP. Sewage disposal, they'll be hooked up to the town sewage. Municipal solid waste disposal, will they have, I don't remember this, will there be a dumpster that comes in, or is every unit responsible?
Well, they'll have private collection.
Okay.
I don't believe they wanted a dumpster just for the point of unsightliness and smell and noise and
Right.
and little critters.
Aesthetic, cultural, and natural values. It's pretty well hidden subdivision. And really not touching really being careful about that whole wetland area. Comprehensive plan,
I actually didn't, maybe I missed it, see this. I'm like actively searching for it now, addressed in the application.
what's that?
I don't think I saw this addressed in the.
Aesthetic, cultural, and natural values?
No, comp plan, sorry. Unless I'm,
So that could be a condition when they come to the final. So, did you turn in anything to confirm that there were no,
Yeah, we did, because we have to do that with the DEP, that there's no natural habitats, no historical. All those letters were submitted originally, I think, with one of the earlier applications. But we can package those up again.
yeah, maybe just packing them up, and I think they were in, very early, like
Yep,
in the
they were.
pre-application. Okay, so letters have been, and have you gotten responses?
I'll check. I think we've got a few, but there might be one that's outstanding, but we should have responses by now.
So we won't approve the final until
Yeah.
you do that. Okay. Thanks, Maggie, good catch. Comprehensive plan?
I don't think I'm like actively, frantically searching again, but saw this addressed,
Might
at
be.
least in a searchable
Yeah,
way.
we will, I believe we did address it early on, but again,
Okay.
we can update that and add that to the, kind of the response with historical, natural resources, et cetera.
And I will just use this opportunity again to bring up, we need more affordable housing. I don't think we need more luxury housing. The comp plan calls for that. The community is calling for that. I would love to see these folks consider that as an opportunity to support this community.
We have some on the horizon, but I can't give you
End
details
scene.
yet.
Okay. Moving on, financial and technical capacity? Did the applicant turn in financial capacity? I don't remember seeing that.
I will double check. They were responsible for that. I thought we had a letter from a bank, but I will double check.
I'm pretty sure we did. That's like one of the first things I looked at.
Again, we can bundle all those
We
previous
just
ones
bundle
just to
it
make it
again.
easier for you
Yeah.
to.
That's fine.
Because I know we have to provide that to the DEP as well.
Okay. I know I saw a write-up on the, okay. Surface waters, outstanding river segments. It's got that little intermittent stream
Yeah.
in there, which is being avoided. Groundwater,
Again, we're no septic system, so we shouldn't have any contamination.
correct. Not in the floodplains. It's not, that wetland is not a freshwater wetland?
It's not under the DEP definition, it's a freshwater wetland, but it's not a defined
It's a
freshwater.
forested.
Yeah, it's a forested
I mean, the
wetland,
wetland
yes.
delineation
It's
calls
defined
it a
as forested,
forested
correct.
wetland.
Yeah.
So, and for the wetland impact, do you need, just so I capture this in any conditions?
We have to do a
you need an
notification, we have to do
NRPA?
yeah, we have to do a notification to Army Corps of Engineers, which we have done.
Okay, so is that a level 1, 2, 3, you know?
It's a notification, it's underneath the permitting, but we have to do a notification of that. That's a little change over the last few years.
And that's to show that it meets the proper NRPA
Correct.
classification, okay. Farmland, it's not farmland?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Maybe 100 years ago, maybe, but
Actually, no, when I was a kid.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Not quite
Not 100 years ago, no. Quarter century, we'll go quarter
there's a
century.
river, well, stream or brook, intermittent stream, and the requirement was to be
We've maintained 75 feet. but-
75 feet?
Yeah, you
The
can get
requirement's
permits.
25 feet,
Correct,
correct?
yep, yep.
Okay. Lake phosphorus concentration, that was provided. Impact on adjoining municipalities, there is none. Land subject to liquidation harvesting, that does not apply. Moving on to, unless somebody has questions, B7, additional review criteria, which are municipal ones. Just a comment, someday we ought to try and combine the statutory and the,
Yeah.
probably some of these additional review criteria can drop out if they're put in with the statutory. Phosphorus export, that was calculated acceptable.
And I believe LE, well, no, this will be another DEP.
Yeah.
Yep.
Relationship to community services can't adversely affect road maintenance and snow removal, police and fire department, solid waste disposal, recreational facilities on-site, on and off-site drainage facilities. Just a question there, where is snow removal gonna go to?
We have snow removal areas both here, and then, primarily be banks of snow along here, but primarily at the end of the road, near the pump station. And if it gets too great, then they'll have to have a contractor removed.
Okay. Anything on that? Been approved by police and fire. No impact on recreational facilities, other than maybe there'll be more people to use. Retention of proposed public sites and open spaces, that's not being done. Preservation of natural and historic features, so that's where the letters also would come into
Yep,
play.
yep.
Traffic impact, again, we have a traffic study. Shoreland zoning, it's not technically in the shoreland zone, but because of that intermittent
Yeah, it's DEP authority.
stream, we're giving that a setback as if it's a stream. Easement for drainage ways. Are there any, there must be provided as stormwater easements for drainage lines of such water course. Are there any easements that are required?
No, it's all privately owned, so there would be no necessary easement. The only thing that I do recall was in the deed, I think you picked up on this, and we are not prohibiting it at all, the natural drainage course from this property across this property. think there was a deed restriction that we couldn't block any drainage coming off that property. In fact, with the ditch system that we have, we're helping pick that up.
Okay, utilities. Size, scope, and location of public utilities, well, they're tying into electric going underground.
Yep.
They're
Underground sewer, water, and electrical cable.
And in terms of, road lights is not applicable here. I think the way that this is used, you will be using a fire hydrant. Does anybody feel there's some undue burden on those? Kathy, you're thinking.
I'm trying to think of where's the closest hydrant?
I think it's on the,
Almost across the street.
yeah,
Okay.
on the,
Yeah, I know, I know.
It's diagonal across the street.
Trailer that sits back
Yep.
from the road and right in front of that. trailer.
Okay, yeah, because they're about every 500 feet, and I've got one on my property, which is about 500 feet.
Yeah. There's really no utilities being installed here essentially, other than the electric going underground.
right, and everything's underground.
Yeah. Required improvements, monuments, road signs, roads, landscaping, sewage disposal, storm drainage. I guess just make sure that the monuments
Okay.
are placed for the final plan.
Yep.
You've done everything else. Road or homeowners association is, Not-
Currently, it's going to be privately maintained
okay.
by the ownership, but again, when and if this gets condominiumized, those documents would have to be provided. And I'm not sure, if this does get condominiumized, does that require back to the board? So again, I think if it does get condominiumized, you would have an opportunity to review it again.
Right.
But again, we're trying to design it so we meet those standards.
Minimum lot size is, there's no lots here, so the minimum lot size is 40,000 square feet, and you're allowed, because you're tying into sewage and water,
Yeah, down to 5,000.
5,000 square feet per dwelling unit. There's 12 dwelling units, so 12 times 5 is 60,000 square feet. And you have to have that 60,000 square feet within a buildable area. The wetlands don't count as buildable area.
Right.
So you didn't provide a calculation, but it's
Yeah, it
pretty
could-
clear to me that.
Yeah, it's, I thought we did, but I will double check, but yeah, we
Okay.
were way.
Maybe I missed it, it's just this has been
Where,
a long.
with the 5,000, that's what was a concern early on, was that if we didn't have the public sewer connection, then we wouldn't have been able to meet that, but with the public sewer connection, we can easily
Okay.
meet that. But we
Yeah.
will, as part of the final plan, I will provide you net density on the final plan,
Yeah, or just even
a statement or a note.
reference
Yeah.
where it is, because it might be in the pre-application.
Yeah, it was, well, I think it was one of those earlier applications that we submitted, but.
Monuments, we talked about, road signs.
We'll submit a name and provide a location for the street sign.
Yeah, and, so that you'll do through Ms. Day. The roads meet the town standards. Non-conforming roads don't apply. Sidewalks, we're not requiring sidewalks.
I don't believe they're
Time,
required
water
in the district.
supply.
Sidewalks aren't required in the district.
That'll be public water. Fire protection. These don't need to be sprinkled, right? They're just individual dwellings. Sewage disposal, that's through the town. Surface drainage is stormwater we discussed. Long-term maintenance plan will be the responsibility of the owner then, correct?
Yep.
And that
that's-
includes all the stormwater features.
Yes, and that's part of the DEP permit as well.
Okay. And then the buffer strip, which is 15 feet for a regular subdivision, but for a condo is 25 feet, so I would suggest we leave that at 25 feet.
You've already.
So that, and,
Yeah.
it is fairly dense in that front part. And that's gonna give nice cover for the Pike Apartments as well with the plantings you're doing.
Yeah, because if you remember on that site walk, there was a fair amount of upcoming white pines in that area that are pretty dense.
So, I think we're done unless somebody has any questions.
How
And
many?
let's just notate, did you have one, Jessica?
Yeah, how many parking spots for each?
So there'll be 2 for each unit. There'll be, obviously, they have the garage and they have a space in front.
Gotcha.
Oh, so each apartment has 2 spots, so each building has
Yep.
4 spots.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so for the preliminary plan, which does not yet require DEP approval or the road maintenance, or a road maintenance agreement, let me just double check that, so that we do this right. The road names and lines would be required with the road, any updates to this would be required with the final plan. Road names and lines, pedestrian ways, all that required with the final plan. If there are any lots, that would be with the final plan. There's no public space, which would be with the final plan. The landscaping plan we already have, also required by the final plan. The reference monuments are required on the final plan. And the board can choose, and we should make that decision now, to have the results of a water quality test as performed by DHHS. It seems unnecessary since it's town water.
Right.
Is there consensus on that?
Yes.
I'm sure Kathy would let us know if there's
Yeah.
a problem there.
I hope there's good water coming out of that pipe.
Okay, so for the preliminary plan then, we would provide a waiver on the buffer
And the hydrogeology.
and the hydrogeology. The final the final subdivision plan's due within 6 months. You're not gonna get building permits before that. You have a landscaping plan. We don't want the water quality test. We've determined variances not required. There's no disruption of easements.
Just one note on easements, that
Yep,
corner of the property abuts or shares with Pondicherry Park, is that correct?
correct.
That, it's like a 4-corner,
Yeah.
okay. And there's a monument there.
Yeah, there's monuments there, but
Okay.
to her point, is because this is a subdivision, we have to make sure all the corner monuments are
Yeah, there's just an
set.
easement on Pondicherry, that's what,
An easement where?
on Pondicherry. So just making note of that
Okay.
boundary.
Where is the easement?
Well, it's just at this 4-corner, you can't really see it on this map,
Right.
because but the, what is that, the northwest? Where's north? Northern corner comes to I think, a 4-way with Pondicherry. And
Okay.
Pondicherry Park has an easement on it, so just making note of, it's not super important.
Okay, so we'll put that in the findings under
But-
the easements.
Yeah,
And,
those monuments are checked, that's just why,
okay.
You're talking about it here.
annually,
Yeah.
yeah.
There is an iron pipe in that wall, there's an iron pipe, I think, maybe this corner, maybe that corner of that one there, there may be one on. There's at least one that we need to set, which is out the other street.
And so we have 2 waivers in right now for preliminary subdivision plan. The only, I don't know about the only, one condition is the the water supply is restricted to 3-bedroom homes
bedrooms
or
per unit.
3-bedroom dwelling units. And I guess the Corps of Engineers would be a condition because it's not the state. getting the
Yeah,
The
they usually just give us
approval,
a notification,
non-
but
yeah,
I
the
will provide,
non-objection.
I will provide the correspondence with them.
Okay.
And I also had, just to help you, road name, open permit for the access, blow-up detail of the landscaping, of where
Right.
we asked for the waiver, dimensions of the driveway lengths, and then the previous responses to historical, natural resources, and financial, technical capacity.
Okay.
And then you
So,
wanted a reference of a final net density on the final plan.
so I would accept the motion to tentatively approve the preliminary subdivision with the waiver for the 25-foot buffer in a specific area which will be detailed in the future subdivision plan. With a waiver for the hydrology investigation, that there be no impact on septic runoff impact. That the water supply is contingent on a maximum of 3 bedrooms per dwelling unit. And, and I think what I'll do is as one last condition, just, I'll say, clear provision of the letters from the various,
Outside agencies.
various outside agencies, state agencies, the comp plan, and, the other items you just brought up, what did I miss in that? I think I got them all. I think it's easy enough for me to make sure that between Laura Lee and Jim, all that's put in there, and I can go back and look at the tape. So, I would accept a motion to tentatively approve the preliminary subdivision plan for Stonewall Hollow with the 2 waivers, the condition on the water, and the requirement that that data on the comp plan, letters from the various agencies, and other information asked for by the board are brought to the final subdivision application.
Okay.
Moved by Ms. DiPietro,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Cook. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. 5-0.
Question, will the next hearing we have be a public hearing, requirement for a public hearing?
It's not required, the board can require it if they want, but it's
Okay.
not required.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's been, it's been ongoing for a
Yeah,
while,
it
so I
has.
apologize if I didn't remember everything. Does the board want a 5-minute break before we go to the
Yes.
library? Or?
I wish we were actually going to the library.
What's that?
I said I wish we were actually going to the library. That would be
We are gonna go to the library.
far more exciting.
It may not be for
Then-
as long as the other items, I don't think. But we are about to go to the library.
It's not the same.
In our
So-
minds.
So, on to item 6.
just gonna stand
New business, the only item is the Bridgton Public Library expansion, map 23, lots 144 and 145 at 1 Church Street. The applicant has standing, they've turned in the deeds, they've turned in the notices. Do we feel the application is substantially complete, meaning there's enough there to initiate a review? And Kathy?
I have something too.
There's some missing information, but we can point out where it is.
Yeah, I think not to jump ahead too far, but I'm going to propose a public hearing.
Yeah,
And I
and
think this is, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so is board okay with it being substantially complete? I agree with Kathy, there's some things we need.
yeah, there's a few things that we need to discuss.
Yeah, I agree with you. Is there anybody that wishes to recuse themselves? Okay. So we'll, the applicant's agent will be able to speak in a minute, but what I'd like to do is move to hold a public hearing on the library. Reason being, it's downtown, it's a little bit more complex application, and there's plenty of abutters and public that may be interested.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Ms. Cook, seconded by Ms. Rowland. Let's vote on that first, and then we'll figure out a date. All in favor, please raise your hand. 5-0. And then in a minute, I'm going to have you introduce yourself, and then we'll give you some input on what what would be useful for the public hearing. So what do we want to do for a date? I'm trying to avoid, we can do the third Tuesday,
Which would be the 20th.
which would be the 20th. There is also a 5th.
27th.
There is a 5th Tuesday in January. So if we're wrong,
No, there
We
is.
just had 5
There's
in
5.
December.
Oh, there's
No, there's 4. There's
6,
6th, 13th,
20th,
20th,
and
27th.
oh,
She's
20
right.
and 27, sorry, okay. So we need to hold it at the latest, by the first meeting in February. So it's either the February 3rd meeting, or we do it on the 3rd Tuesday, and if we need a workshop, we're going to have to do it another
I
time.
don't think we can do it on the
There's a lot
3rd. We're
happening.
already pretty full.
We're already full, okay. Is there time to do it on the applicant may not have time to do it in 2 weeks from now, especially since the hearing has to be noticed.
I don't have time.
So do we want to pick a day that's not the 3rd Tuesday and just, like a Wednesday or a Thursday? I know Angie has some conflicts on
Yeah,
certain days.
Wednesdays are I'm pretty unavailable on Wednesdays.
We have to do it before February 3rd. That's
We have to do it
Just-
within 30 days, so technically, no. We could do it February 6th
10th or 6th, that's a Friday. We would have a special meeting.
or Thursday, which is February 5th. Excuse me, yeah.
I'd be fine with Thursday, the 5th. Yeah.
Thursday, February 5th? 5 o'clock?
Yep.
Does that work? I know we may be kicking,
There's a-
no, I don't think we're kicking anybody out.
There's a committee meeting that ends at 5 here.
They could be in there.
Yeah.
Thursday, February 5th?
Yep,
Okay.
5 o'clock.
Consensus on that? Is the applicant available Thursday, February 5th?
Yeah.
Okay.
5 o'clock, you said?
At 5 o'clock. Okay. We all set over there, Brenda and Laura Lee, or no?
I know, I'm looking.
I think there's a committee meeting, but I don't think there's,
Open space meets from 4 to 5, but they should be done.
there's
Or
a
they could move.
large enough meeting room in the back.
Yeah.
We'll hold on here while we're...
We do it Monday, the 26th?
Monday, the 26th. As long as the applicant can get everything ready. Monday, the 26th, let's see. What's Monday, the 26th look like?
I can do that.
I won't be here.
I'm potentially not here, but
We have two people that potentially aren't here, and I'm not sure if Rolf is gonna be back by
Right.
then. It'd be better if we did it on the 4th or 5th even. I mean, I don't really think we wanna do a Friday night.
No.
that's gonna be a
Yeah,
boundary for me.
We could have as many as 3 people missing on the 25th.
I can be there on the 25th.
The 26th.
26th, I'm
The
sorry.
26th,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Definitely not doing a Sunday.
What about the 2nd?
Would it be better if we started the hearing a little earlier on the 5th? I mean, it should not go beyond, I know your workday ends at 5:30.
We did 4.
Does that cause an issue for you?
And that's on a Thursday?
That'd be Tuesday, right?
Have
What's
jobs,
So you're
I
talking
know.
about the 3rd,
The-
and doing it earlier before the.
No, well,
No.
we could do it earlier.
I also, the fact that it's a public hearing, the
That's a
majority
very
of the
good point.
public.
It should be after
Probably-
5 if it's gonna be a public
Okay.
hearing, yeah.
So we're
sorry.
down to the 25th, 26th, or the 5th.
I could do the
You can-
second too.
You can do, say again, Maggie?
The second Monday.
You can do the Monday, the 26th.
I can do that.
I'm potentially gone TBD, I might be here, but I can't say.
How about
Sorry.
you, Erica?
Do either Monday, the 20, whatever it is. or the
So we got,
second.
as
I
far
can
as
do
I know, I
Monday.
can. 1, 2, 3, possibly 4. Kathy?
I'm here on both those days.
Okay, and unfortunately Jessica.
I'm not here on the 26th, but I can make
Okay.
any other day.
The
What,
second,
what's that?
the second,
Monday the 2nd?
Monday, the 2nd, okay.
well, I don't know what day you're talking about. 26 we can't do because we don't have enough time to get it in the paper.
Okay, so Monday, the 2nd, the day before the meeting on the 3rd.
I can do
Wait,
that.
okay, wait. So we're gonna do Monday the 2nd?
Sorry, this is the most difficult thing we do, is scheduling meetings. sometimes. And there's just a lot going on.
So let me just make sure I have this February 2nd at 5 o'clock here.
February 2nd, 5 o'clock.
Okay, I got it.
That meeting, I'm very interested in the meeting. I mean, I have to drive from Portsmouth to Maine.
You can
It
go in
live streams,
remotely,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
send in written comments. We have to have as many board members as possible, unfortunately.
And you can speak even if you're calling in via Zoom.
Yeah.
If you have comment.
And you can call in, you can call in by phone.
So how do I learn about that? Is it?
They post it on the town website.
Laura Lee can definitely help you with that.
Thank you.
I'll send you that too.
So
Thank you, Laura Lee.
you'll get your comments in, any concerns that you have or suggestions in. Okay, going once, February 2nd? Twice, 3 times? February 2nd it is, assuming the applicant can do it then.
All right.
Okay, whew.
I'm sorry, at what time?
5 o'clock. All right, if you could introduce yourself and give us a brief overview of the project, you will get a lot of time on the 2nd to go into more detail.
Michael Barnes, Mainland Development Consultants, the civil engineer working on the project. I'm here with Pat Barrett from Simon's Architects and Dave Hursty with the library. This is a proposed addition and renovation to the existing library on the corner of Maine and Church Street in downtown Bridgton. The addition is largely in the footprint of the existing parking lot, so there'll be more roof, less pavement, to provide more space for the use inside the library. The parking, existing parking on the site is believed to be, the existing parking that will remain is believed to be adequate to park the new building. There'll be some new lighting on the structure to replace the existing flood lighting that is crossing the lot lines onto the adjacent properties. That new lighting will be shielded and downcast and stay on the library's property. There'll be a new water and sewer main connection into Church Street. The stormwater, it's largely redevelopment, replacing, like I said, roof with, or existing parking pavement with roof. So not expected to have significant increases in flows. We need to run calculations in HydroCAD to vet that out, and if we need to, we will add a small rain garden to decrease those flows. The storm drain system, the stormwater runoff runs into catch basins that are existing, and that connects in the existing condition to the storm drain main in Church Street, and we will be continuing that scheme in the proposed, so all the runoff from the site will end up in the municipal storm pipe underneath Church Street. And yeah, we're available to answer questions, and like I said, Pat and Dave are here if those questions would be better fielded by either the library or the architect.
Okay, so what I'd ask the board to do is to provide input to the applicant for, if you feel there's information that's needed prior to the public hearing. I mean, information can come in segments, so it doesn't have to be prior to the public hearing, but if you think something that's particularly useful or important for the public hearing to be available or explained, please bring that up. I would ask that we don't start any kind of review and get into a lot of detailed back and forth questions. I'll mention that you already brought up one of them, which is stormwater calculations and a full narrative. The board will need to review adequately. And while I'm here, I will mention that on the financial capacity,
That was my thing.
we need a little bit more beef there. On my understanding, this is close to a $5 million project. So we need a little bit more than a letter, which we have actually gotten in the past from people. We need something along the lines of, and
A cost
you
of the
could look at
project.
you could look at actually the recent food pantry approval for this if you wanted to. Cost of the project, the funds you have secured now, and any remaining funds, how they will be secured. That's basically it.
Okay.
And again, Laura Lee could point you towards the food pantry for what was done there.
Yep. That was
It may
my
not
thing.
need to be quite that effusive, but needs to be more detailed. Ms. Day has mentioned that it was listed with the Maine Historic Preservation, as a Maine Historic something or another, and that you may need to get a letter from the Maine Historic Preservation Commission.
That was my next question.
So, speaking for myself, I found the landscaping plan hard to ascertain. I've seen a brochure, and it's got a lot of trees and everything, and it was very hard for me to figure out the landscaping on there. There were landscaping details, but no real landscaping plan. I have other things, but I'll stop there and let somebody else go. Erica, do you have anything?
My biggest question, and you addressed it a little bit, was around parking. And particularly like,
Oh, that's actually a question of mine.
parking and then I see it's like a one-story addition, but does that include the basement? Because I know the current library has a basement level, but
Right.
how much additional capacity or circulation
Yeah.
there is with that, and then how that kind of aligns with the parking
So,
that you're reducing?
so a general thing that is, I think would be very helpful to the board and I think to the applicant for assuring we capture everything is the review standards narrative. For a number of the standards, it needs to explain why the parking is sufficient or how something will be done to meet the standard. As opposed to, I mean, some things are very straightforward, like it's not more than 35 feet high. But things like parking and circulation, what's the parking flow gonna be, where are the vehicles going, you know, how emergency vehicles, that, I mean, some of that's fairly obvious, but the narrative should support things like there will be no, the proposed expansion will provide adequate turning capacity for all public safety vehicles. The proposed expansion will provide adequate parking for employees and customers. So we need to understand, well, there's 14 spaces there, as far as I can tell, and there were about 30 before. So we need to understand why is 14 adequate, you
Yeah.
know, based on your clientele and, you know, I'm not saying the place is overflowing all the time, but
Right.
you are taking parking away. And just, there, we talked about stormwater. There just needs to be some explanations of why or how things are gonna be done in the narratives as opposed to this will be okay and,
Yeah.
you know, that should be fine.
Yeah.
We need the evidence, basically.
I agree.
And some of the evidence is probably in the application, but I think it's best to reference that or point
Summarize
us
it in
to
there.
it. Okay? Sorry, I know I'm hogging the floor here. Go ahead, Angie.
No, you hit on the financial capacity. I was gonna ask, is there some way we can implement some type of
Standard form?
Standard
Template,
form,
yeah.
template or something, because when we get these financial capacity, I mean, they say all kinds of things.
Yeah, so the application requirement actually spells out what it should be.
Okay,
And I think what we need to do is just hold firm to that.
okay.
So if you look in the, if you look in the application requirements in the site, for a site plan, it says precisely what it should be.
Okay.
Does it require a cost estimate?
Yes, I believe it does.
I believe that it
Yes.
does, yep,
There's some breakdown of
yeah.
what that would include.
I can tell
I'm
you
right here.
right now what it says.
What section are you going to?
I am going to,
I'm in section.
might actually not be on here, it might be on the application itself.
What about section 5 under B, application submission requirements?
Hold on.
Should I bring up E-code
What page
316?
are you on?
I'm on page 81.
Oh, 81. Yeah, it's actually in the application itself too, 89. Oh, here we go. No, it's not in there, but it is in the application somewhere. Oops, wait a minute, I was in the wrong place. Hold on. It's in. So let me, you did submit the application form here, correct?
Yeah, it's right in the front there.
But what I'd say that is for this, is just to address the question that Angie has.
Yep.
No. I don't think that's in the window.
I would, we should follow what's required in the application form. And that's pretty specific. It includes the costs and
Yeah.
essentially how you're gonna secure them.
Right.
And,
Then it asks for maintenance, or what maintenance after the building is
right,
built,
so it includes
maintenance.
maintenance. Let me just, I'm not finding what I want quickly enough, so,
We can,
we should go, it should just go by the letter of the law in the application form.
Right.
Just follow.
Which I apologize for not finding quickly enough, but that is where it is. And it's probably right in front of our noses here somewhere.
Probably.
And I guess for the board, to Angie's concern, we should be disciplined about requiring that of everybody. Okay, Maggie?
Just one note, the site plans were not uploaded to the OneDrive that I saw, unless I'm missing.
I didn't notice the site, yeah, were the site plans loaded up to the OneDrive? Just as long as they are. Maybe we looked in the wrong place.
Is somebody electing not to receive paper copies? Because this is a lot of paper. Yeah, I just have similar questions that have already been asked. So parking,
Yep.
I feel like is gonna come up. Yeah, nothing else from me.
Jessica?
Yeah, nothing, no other questions.
Kathy?
In stormwater, you might want to think about addressing the flooding issue that happens with the elevator on a regular basis. Obviously, we have a stormwater issue there.
what's the issue with the elevator? I'm sure.
You know,
Good.
and that has been
Yeah.
solved by this. We're very happy that we have a new drainage system.
You have a new,
Yeah, so this will help solve that problem.
okay, how do you know that that will help solve that problem?
Yeah, I think what Kathy's looking for is just an explanation of how it improves it.
Yeah.
Because right now, there has in the past been an issue that if the sump pump is not continuously running, then the bottom of the elevator floods, which is probably why they didn't put a basement on the new addition. Also, in terms of utilities, you have, can you clarify exactly how much water you would like from the water district? Because what we have in the letters is the size of the building, but not, like, there are gonna be bathrooms in it, there's gonna be water fountains in it, we need this many gallons a day, and we're gonna generate this much wastewater a day. That'd be much more useful for the utility.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess if you want to do that as this is what we have now, and this is, it's
Right.
either going to be the same or more, that would be helpful, I think.
And it looks like you're gonna be sprinkled in this new section.
Sprinkled in the new section, and there are additional bathrooms.
Okay.
Yeah,
Those
so
kinds
that's
of things,
important.
the water district needs to know that.
That, yeah.
Existing building will be sprinkled as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's important because if it's sprinkled, then the water district needs to know that, and that's gonna increase the water use.
Potentially.
Potentially increase the water usage.
Hopefully you don't have to use the
We
sprinkler
hope
system.
not, we hope it doesn't ever have to be used. Anything else, Kathy?
Those are my major items.
Yeah.
You've already addressed the fact that we're losing parking spaces and losing sort of the flow of how we're getting in and out of that parking space. Used to be able to go in one side and out the other. And you can't go out the other at this point, so getting maybe a fire truck in might be a little more difficult, especially since that side alley has been will be blocked
Yeah.
off.
It will be, yes.
So the chief could comment on, when we get to the hearing, on vehicle access, okay? And as well as the applicant. Only other thing I noted is floor plans are required, and I didn't really see a specific floor plan. I sort of saw this, it was called overview drawing or something like that. And it kind of had the layout plan, it was called. It kind of had the layout of the building, but needs to have the floor plans for the first and second floor, and some narrative about the actual things being added. You know, bathrooms are being added, meeting rooms are being added, something like that. So that we really get a good vision and clarity around, you know, what's included in it, whether there could be any impacts as a result, all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and we have floor plans. I didn't know they were required, but we'll make sure to
Yeah.
include them in the next,
Yeah.
with a narrative.
Anything else? Any questions you have of the board?
No, I mean, I think my biggest concern as well is parking. For the
Okay.
most part, like, I do recognize that we're proposing to decrease the amount of parking on the site. And I don't think that there's an anticipated increase in the flow of vehicles coming to the library with the expansion. My understanding is they're taking a use that's currently in the basement and moving it up onto the first floor. But, yeah, I mean, anytime we're reducing the amount of parking.
Yeah,
you know,
and I
we certainly need to
recognize
address
that the library owns that lot, but probably and I'm not saying that you have to compensate for Rufus Porter.
Right.
Or somebody that decides to park there and walk up to one of the stores. But we do want to make sure that the parking is sufficient for
For that
the
use.
clientele and the staff and all of that there. And it's, you know,
So the library
hate
owns
to
that
see it
parking lot,
reduced,
right?
but I also like the fact that there's a lot of greenery and outdoor space for people that could be very pleasing. I also noted, just real quick, that you have one more lot where that shed is. That's lot one, so 144 and 145 are in the application, but the library also owns lot 143,
Is it a
which is not in
separate
the
lot?
application, which has the shed. If you could just look at that in case there's room there to do something more. Either that or the application already includes it.
Is it a separate lot?
Yeah, it is a separate lot. It's on the tax records, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So there's you go to tax records, and it actually shows it on the GIS map. There's, this lot, which is about here, this lot, which is here, and then, I don't know if this is the lot, but there's a skinny lot after lot 144, so this is 145, 144, there's a 143. You go to the tax maps, you'll see the shed and the little book housing
Footnote.
is right there. And so it wasn't clear to me whether you're using all three of those lots that belong to the library, or two of the three, so. Or there's a mistake in both the tax maps and the GIS system.
Would that have been a lot that was combined with the?
Well, in the tax maps, it shows the combination of 143, 144 and 145, because one is listed as having no acreage. The other is listed as having the amount of acreage that the applicant has submitted. But that other skinnier lot with the shed on it is listed as .15 acres and actually has a dollar value assigned. So from everything I see, there's three lots there that belong to the library.
Okay.
And I just bring that up because if parking was an issue, maybe that's something that's possible to use, if that makes sense. I don't know, but
Yeah.
you want to investigate that.
And the existing stormwater garden is remaining. That's
right,
correct.
yeah, so
It's
there's an
that.
existing rain garden in this area that drains to the vegetation here, connecting to the municipal.
Yeah.
And this all drains to that rain garden. existing
sometimes.
building has, goes into an under drain that connects underground.
Mhm.
I think that's it.
All right?
All right, that's
Thank
enough,
you.
I think. Can you manage all that in
Yeah.
time for the public hearing?
And we notify abutters, you posted in the newspaper?
It's February 2nd, and I believe you need to, any new submission has to be in 12 days in advance. So it doesn't mean you have to have everything, but the more you have,
The better, yeah.
the shorter it will be.
What would you like printed out for the public hearing? Would you like the floor plans and the overall
Elevations.
I think those elevation drawings are nice. To be honest, nothing is required for that. So I just think anything that depicts what it's gonna look like is helpful, but it's not required. All the public has access to everything in the application, either by going to the town office or getting a link to it online. So everybody should have that. It's always good to have the storyboards here for the public, so maybe you just really want multiples of those.
Yeah, we've got some.
Yeah, there you go. So if you have, and those are also in
those
the
are great.
application, so if you have those maybe laid out on 3 easels, if we have 3 easels, or chairs, then.
We got 3. There's one.
I think that'd be helpful for the public watching in here and on the TV.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
it's a very significant project for the town.
Oh, you.
And then we're gonna, let our staff go home.
Kevin Rayday, just a comment, the public hearing people will be somewhat less sophisticated and interpreting plans into buildings and into 3 dimensions. So it's always good to have them.
Have the pictures.
It's a visual medium you're presented visually. It'll save a lot of time. I think.
Yeah, and I know you have a brochure, you're welcome to bring that, but I also kind of noticed that the brochure for the expansion has a little bit different, it's not quite the same as what's in the plan, so just be careful about that. I think the storyboards are fine. Anything else on this? Any more questions from the applicant?
I'm good.
Okay. So, I will move on to, we'll see you February 2nd at 5 o'clock. This young lady here can get information from Laura Lee on how to make sure you can either you can participate and get your comments in. And we will assure that the applicant addresses them.
Yes, absolutely.
And so next on the agenda is other. The only other thing I have is that next Tuesday, I will be participating remotely in case the select board has any questions about our decision not to change the shoreline zoning maps at this time. Does anybody else have anything?
I move to adjourn.
Ms. Cook moves to adjourn. Is there a second? Second by Kathy DiPietro.
All in favor?
All in favor? 5-0. Thank you, everybody.